It's 100 degrees. Sip with me. I'll pour it hot, so hot. I'll pour it sweet, so sweet. Spilling his tea, spilling and sipping his tea, spilling and sipping his tea. Thanks for watching me, tuning in, subscribing, hitting that like, smash that like. I don't bite, no. It's your 100 degree, feeling great, spilling tea. Have a seat and join me. Sip some tea, unwind with me. Let's grab a snack and talk some smack. I'm your girl, I got your back. I got the news, I got the views. I bet you can't wait, I know you can't wait to sip this tea. Sip this tea. Spilling this tea. Spilling and sipping this tea. Spilling and sipping this tea. Spilling this tea. Spilling and sipping 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 this tea. Thanks for watching me, tuning in, subscribing, hitting that like, smash that like. I don't bite, no. It's your 100 degrees, shining bright, set the stage. Hollywood dreams, red carpet scenes, glitter and glow, the secrets I know. Drama with flair, I serve it rare. I got the scoop, I got the proof. I know you can't wait, so come and escape and sip this tea. Sip with me, spilling this tea, spilling and sipping this tea, spilling and sipping this tea, spilling 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 and sipping this tea.
What's going on, Diamond Gang? Happy Sunday. Happy Sunday. Shouts out to my Rumble family. Shouts out to my YouTube family. As you guys know, I am streaming from Rumble on both platforms, okay? YouTube and Rumble. I got the best update tonight. Trump is backed into a corner. So we got some things to get into. If you are new here, okay, all opinions will be respected. I just encourage you not to be disrespectful. But we definitely encourage you to chat. You're entitled to your opinion. Your opinion matters, okay? Even if the opinion is opposing to the host, put it in the chat, okay? You may be able to give me a different view or outlook and vice versa. Okay. If you guys are new here, you know how I started. I normally go back 24 to 48 hours and then I work my way up in real time to what's going on. Okay. Please, 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 if you are on Rumble, follow the Great Spills the Tea. I also have the Great Reactions where I react to viral moments. And then I just started a new channel, another channel, a third channel, the Great Political Rants, okay? Where it's just basically debates over what's going on, different political topics. If you're on YouTube, please, please, please subscribe to The Great Spills the Tea. What's up, Mitch? Hey, Robin. Hey, Kennedy. Hey. Okay, so I got Kennedy and Robin on Rumble, and then I got my guy Mitch over here on YouTube. Wherever you want to be, Mitch. If you want to stay over here, or if you want to come to Rumble, come on. But please, please, please subscribe to The Great Spills the Tea. I cover celebrity gossip as well as war updates, political topics, okay? So if you would like to support the channel, it is $ the great spills the tea. You can either support me with the Cash App, Super Chat, or Super Sticker if you are on YouTube. If you want to support me via Rumble, $ the great spills the tea, and it's considered a rand instead of a Super Chat, Super Sticker. Or you can simply click the like, okay? That is also support. When you click the like and you like my videos, it keeps me in the algorithm. So however you would like to support me, I'm fine with it. Okay. But let me tell you guys what we're going to get into. It is getting crazy. Okay. We're going to talk about Iran and Oman, the deal that they put in place to open the straits. However, it's per conditions, um, and it's conditions on the U.S. Okay. They want a lot. Okay. They want to be able to charge tolls. They want some of their frozen assets. They want the U.S. to remove the blockade, and they want us to basically leave the Middle East. Okay. And I don't think that's going to happen. Also, guys, Benjamin Netanyahu, it's coming down to it. Trump is tired. And I'm gonna do something a little different today. I'm gonna start off where we will end, okay? First. But Trump is he's burnt out and he's tired. He wants out of this war. And unfortunately, Benjamin Netanyahu has no respect. Okay. And guys, you know, they put that deal together for Hamas. Listen, we were waiting for Israel. Well, he responded and he rejected the deal. Okay. So again, Trump is considering leaving and just making an exit. So we'll get into that. Also, guys, um, Saudi Arabia, Turkey, and Pakistan signed a joint defense agreement. And they did this because the U.S., we have no way to protect them at all. We have no way to protect them. So they actually got together and signed a joint defense. So we'll get into all of that. I'm gonna bring my screen up and I'm gonna show you guys where we are right now in real time, and then we're going to get into how we got there. Okay, David. Hey, David. I'm happy to see you too. All right, let's go. Let's go. Let's go, Diamond Gang. I got Robin here, Mitch here, David here. I'm super excited to see y'all. Kennedy. All right, let's go.
Trump is running out of options with Iran, and he knows it, even privately telling his senior aides that he is now willing to walk away from Iran with a deal that does not include anything about denuclearization. The one thing he's been railing and saying that they have to end, he is now willing to walk away without. This comes as Iran put new demands on him today to get the Strait of Hormuz reopened, and that includes billions of dollars from the United States in payments, the United States pulling military forces from the region, and
Diamond Gang, right now, Iran is basically the powerhouse of the Middle East right now.
end to the U.S. naval blockade, among other things. But Trump is backed into a terrible corner now. This is one of the worst defeats, maybe the worst defeats against the United States by another country in history. One thing Tehran made abundantly clear today to Trump is that they are more than prepared for a long, grinding conflict should Trump continue with it. And right now, all signs point that the United States is not willing or able to continue this conflict, running out of munitions, running out of funds, and oil dwindling. We know that the supplies and
Diamond Gang, they caught Trump. He had machinery over there in Greenland. Okay, without the okay of Greenland, ready to drill oil. They called him out yesterday. We're going to get into that. He sent equipment over there to drill oil from Greenland. Let's go.
Inventories are at their lowest levels in history. Tehran knows this. They know it. They know the situation the United States and the rest of the world are in, and they are now exploiting it and putting immense pressure on Trump, narrowing his options to walk away in this conflict. And he's more than likely going to get out sooner than later without everything he's been talking about. Be prepared for Trump to declare victory against Iran imminently and walk away without all.
Let me say something, guys. If you guys can recall, over a month ago, I told you guys, when he first put that MOU together, okay, I said he's going to sell it to the people as a win. And he didn't get a chance to, because they gave him so much backlash that he started backtracking, okay? He's going to try to sell this to us as a win.
The key priorities. Now, he will leave with the Strait of Hormuz being reopened more than likely. That is the key to this whole thing. That is the hard line he has, and that is what Iran is willing to do. And oil prices are going to continue to rise until that happens, and Trump is heading into midterms with very limited time to get things corrected as gasoline prices remain high, much higher than they were before this conflict started. Now, again, this conflict, before it started, no one controlled the Strait of Hormuz. Iran wasn't in control of it. Oil was moving freely. Now, they essentially have the chokehold over it. And Trump now has no cards. Iran.
And I told you guys, I said Iran from here on out will always maintain, whether it's a little or a lot, some type of control over the straits. That's how it's going to be from here on out.
Is holding them all. Let me know what you think about this in the comments. Like, share, spread the word, follow along for more, and I'll see you back here for the 411.
I had
Trump
to start
is
y'all there.
running.
Hold on. Let me stop this because I'm going to pull up my second video. But while I pull up that second video, guys, I got a few things I wanted to say.
So Iran just provided their list of demands for...
Sorry. Let me pull it back. One more. Here we go. So, here's the deal, Diamond Gang. If Trump does not walk away, we will literally be caught in the escalation trap with Iran. Iran has emerged more powerful than before the war. The U.S., we have not completed not one military objective. We have one or two choices: surrender or escalate. Okay? And because of the munitions issue, it looks like a potential surrender. Okay? Some believe that the U.S., we don't have a third choice. We don't. But let me ask you guys this. Can you guys see a ground operation? I can't see it. I can't see it at all. But let's go, Diamond Gang.
We are in the most wicked escalation trap in history. And I'm choosing my words carefully. We're in a trap where the United States has used military force and it's been tactically successful. Bombs have hit targets and killed leaders, but it has failed to achieve any of its strategic objectives. And in fact, Iran has emerged more powerful than before the war and is more powerful today than at any time in Iran's modern history. This is creating the trap. Either President Trump surrenders and allows Iran to continue.
Diamond Gang, this is it. This is the beginning of the end. We have no other choices.
Continue gaining power to become a rising power in the Persian Gulf, probably acquire nuclear weapons in the future, or he escalates. There's no third option That's the escalation trap. He will oscillate back and forth. So keep in mind that we still have the naval blockade in place. Keep in mind that just a week ago, we had just finished 13 days in a row of bombing Iran. What you're going to see is oscillation and likely creeping closer and closer to a ground operation. Why? As we head to the midterms, President Trump will want to
That's his main concern. And you guys will see this towards the end of this live stream. He's concerned about the midterms.
Symbolic victory. And it may be taking an island, taking a beachhead on part of Iran's coast. That is the kind of symbolic victory that he may be able to make use of as we get into the midterms.
Now, let me stop it right here. The title of this live stream is, Has Trump's war in Iran backfired? Again, I told you guys a multitude of times, Iran will maintain some type of control of the straits. I've said this numerous times. Okay? The question still remains, what was this war for? What did we accomplish? Okay, some say we're worse off. The U.S. is worse off. Pete Hegseth is under fire, and it was said that President Trump was not aware of anything that was going on. Let me ask y'all a question. If he was aware that munitions was running low, do you guys believe that President Trump would have made better decisions? Or do you think that he would have made the same decisions that he made? Do you believe that? Okay, let's go.
What is your reaction to the news tonight that Iran and Oman have reached an agreement to temporarily open the Strait of Hormuz?
It's just remarkable that.
Let me stop this really quick because I feel that because Pete Hegseth decided to keep certain details of what was going on, he did not give President Trump the option to deal with this conflict or take another route. That's how I feel about it.
After 5 months of war, Iran is going to control the Strait of Hormuz, which it didn't before Trump launched this war. It leaves us, the United States, the West, and the rest of the world worse off. And for what? That's the question that we keep asking and have to keep asking about this war. What was all this for? Donald Trump thought he was going to get a quick, cheap, easy win, knock over the Iranian regime. And now here we are with Iran basically saying, well, we'll control the strait, but we'll agree to think about whether we're going to collect tolls, which,
they want the right to collect up to 7%. Okay? They said it, it's in the demands, and we're going to go over it. But at the end of the day, Pete Hegseth, he didn't take responsibility. He blamed it on his deputy. And I feel like he had taken that choice away from President Trump. Y'all know how I feel about Trump. It is what it is. However, I'm looking at the bigger picture. If he gave Trump the details, do you guys believe he would have handled this differently? Maybe, maybe not, but we'll never know because he wasn't given that option.
You had told anybody that a year ago, it would have seemed almost preposterous, almost impossible.
Yeah, many Republicans I talked to say the president went to Venezuela and then he thought he could do that everywhere. I also want to move to your reaction to this Washington Post reporting. It gives us a little bit of a glimpse into Pete Hegseth's leadership and the communication, I guess, between him and his boss, Donald Trump. In this case, on the depletion of American missiles, a really important piece of reporting there.
Yeah, it's a mistake to use.
Listen, this deception has been going on since the start of the war. I covered this. I told you guys, they were literally showing him 2 to 4 minute clips of the U.S. hitting targets. That's it, and that's all. And that was put out months ago.
The words Pete Hegseth and leadership together, especially when your first reaction is to throw your own deputy under the bus and to basically say, well, you know, I mean, in a way, what was Hegseth saying? How could I be expected to know this stuff? I'm only the Secretary of Defense, or Secretary of War, as he puts it. Mm-hmm. It's also, as you pointed out in your earlier reporting, Eugene, that, you know, which is it? Is the president going to pursue people for revealing, you know, dire information, or is the whole thing false? And I think that the anger...
Again, the last live stream that I covered, we kind of ended here. Again, he basically put out there that they were leakers. So it is true. There is truth to that. We're running out of long-range missiles, and we've depleted just about our long-range missiles, and we're maybe at 40% Tomahawks.
That you're seeing from the White House and the Pentagon about this says that the reporting is accurate. And I would just tell people, you don't need access to classified, you know, deep secrets to figure this out. There are people all over the world who keep track of how many missiles the United States buys, how many it stockpiles, and how many it fires. You can do a lot of this reckoning and calculation from open sources. And I think what you're seeing is that the Post and other outlets are confirming what other people around the world are seeing. And it just shows what a reckless and stupid war this was, to just blunder in without a plan or a strategy.
According to Al Arabiya English sources, a proposed Hormuz.
Now, let me stop it right here. The deal between Oman and Iran, and I kind of went over some of it the last time we were live, but it gives Iran total control of the inbound shipping. So they'll come in on Tehran's side and they will leave out on Oman's side. Okay. The Straits is back open. Here's the deal. He's going to try to sell this as a victory. Can the U.S. still claim victory? Can we? Can we actually say that? But again, I told you guys months ago, whatever happens in the end, and he has said this a multitude of times, he will sell it to the people as a victory. Okay, as a win. Let's go.
This deal effectively gives Iran control over inbound shipping. Is that one of the biggest concessions the U.S. has made to Tehran when we're having this conversation at the moment?
Well, they haven't given any assent to that at the moment from the Americans. If that were to be something which the Americans would do, then you could absolutely say that they have lost the war, because that is something that is not an end state they will gone towards. But if they are going to do that as a precondition for trying to get a
Let me stop it right here. Robin said, I think he would have done the same thing. He has no concept of how long it takes to rearm the U.S. Yeah, it could take up to 5 years. You're right about that.
deal on the nuclear issue, which is supposedly the reason they went to war in the first place, then Trump will try and sell that as a victory at home. What the Americans can't do, really, is continue to do what they're doing at the moment, which is this recurring pattern of U.S. threatening strikes and then...
That part, wash, rinse, and repeat. The U.S., we keep doing the same tactics and expecting results. Threatening to bomb, and then walking it back. We've done that since it started. And again, we have two choices: concede or escalate. That's it. There are no other options.
Calling them off at the last moment, which they've done 5 times since April, and essentially they've been mowing the lawn. And the problem with that is what Churchill called an insanity, doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. There will not be a different result, and they can't compel Iran. And that is the problem they have when, at the moment, America is limiting the ways it can do business because it's only using air power. And one of the things that General Mark Milley, the former chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, said in 2017 was that there's a myth about war that we need to let go. And that is that.
Listen, General Dan Kane said, we cannot win just with airstrikes. We cannot. He has advised President Trump this behind the scenes. He gave him a couple of options, but he definitely said that we have no win with just airstrikes. And it would be a catastrophe for a ground operation.
You can win wars from afar just by dropping ordnance. You can't. The Americans, for military and political constraints, are not willing to mobilize the means to sort that problem out, which would mean a land invasion for really 4 reasons. Firstly, that would lead to a rising oil price. Secondly, they've got dwindling stockpiles. Thirdly, they've got declining approval ratings for Trump, so it would be a political disaster. And lastly, Congress may not allow him to do so, with the War Powers Act coming into force if he were to.
That right there, remember, they're still on a 60-day clock for the War Powers resolution.
Take those sorts of measures.
We have a plan.
Now, guys, I'm taking y'all back. Y'all know how I like to do it. Let's take a look at the actual play that this is the U.S. strategy that they used during this entire, war with Iran. Let's take it back.
Because of the power of our military, where every bridge in Iran will be decimated by 12 o'clock tomorrow night.
President Trump seconds ago taking to Truth Social, he will agree to stop bombing for 2 weeks.
You're saying that you need a
wash, rinse, repeat. We done walked it back at least 6 times.
at least the prospects for a signed deal today and tomorrow, or else you would resume bombing Iran?
Well, I expect to be bombing because I think that's a better attitude to go in with. But we're ready to go. I mean, the military is raring to go.
President Trump announced that he is no longer imposing a deadline for the Iranians to respond. He is extending the ceasefire that was set to expire tomorrow at this time.
Trump warned Iran the clock is ticking and they better get moving fast or there won't be anything left of them.
I was asked by Saudi Arabia, Qatar, UAE, and some others if we could put it off for 2 or 3 days, a short period of time, because they think that they are getting very close to making a deal.
We dropped $250 million worth of bombs on them last night. My preference has always been take Carg Island, but I don't know that America has the stomach.
We just made a great settlement of the war with Iran, and we're going to be subject to finalization.
Iran is being very nice. They're agreeing to everything that I want.
We'll be hitting them. We'll be hitting them very hard. And at some point, they're going to say, we just can't take it anymore. We're all set to go. But when the allies ask to call it off.
And guess what countries are making it out while this conflict, they are good to go. Russia and China. Okay? Trump does not want to believe that Russia is assisting Iran and vice versa. Yeah. As far as Ukraine, we're going to get into that as well.
You got to sort of say, well, let's see. And the reason they asked is I think there's a deal.
The Iranians are reporting progress. And it's important to note here, this is between Iran and Oman, who share...
Right there, between Oman and Iran. Again, they have agreed where ships will come through on Tehran's side and leave out on Oman's side. However, they work this situation out, but the demands is on the U.S. If we do not agree to some of their terms or all of their terms, the straits will remain closed.
The either side of that strait. So it comes down to mechanics, the routes that ships can take and which of them get permission to pass, etc. So this is a serious step back from where we were before the war began, when ships had free passage. Now it's firmly under Iranian control. Iran will also demand that the U.S.
They want 5 to 7% They want that right to be able to charge those fees.
Drop its naval blockade. So it's going to have to be signed off by the U.S. And Iran's nuclear program is not under discussion in these talks.
Charlie, the president is also addressing reports that some munitions are.
And guys, let me tell you why it's not on the table. Okay. They feel like because of the trust issues with the U.S., that they have a right. Right now, they are mapping out plans to create missiles that will reach the U.S. Okay? That's their plans. And we're going to get into that as well.
Running short, what do we know about the stockpile of munitions?
Yeah, Nate, multiple sources tell CBS News that the war in Iran has nearly used up all of the military's global stockpiles of long-range precision missiles, including the ones meant to protect U.S. forces. So for planners at the Pentagon, this raises serious concerns, not just about this war, but America's overall readiness in future conflicts. President Trump has denied those shortages, even threatening that leakers.
Again,
his word
about
that
2 missiles to go through, and we're not stopping them. That's how low we are. We're allowing them.
information will be hunted down and long jail sentences will be sought. He also denied reports that he clashed with Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth over weapon shortages, saying he's extremely happy with Hegseth.
But we have certain types of munitions which are very.
Now here he is. He's denying. This is what he's doing. He's admitting that we are running low on our long range missiles, but he's stating right here that we have other options, and these options are not good options.
They may not be as accurate. They may not be. They're not as elite. We have elite too, but we're watching that very closely. But we have certain types which are very powerful and very good, and we have an unlimited supply, and so we're in great shape. But with that being said, we always want more. We have to have more. We have other things maybe come up. You maybe come up and maybe don't come up. Hopefully nothing else does come up. But we're in very good shape. We have literally massive amounts of ammunition.
Again, he confirmed it, but he denied it at the same time. He also denied claims that he clashed with Pete Hegseth over the missile depletion concerns. The Washington Post brought that out, okay? They said Trump was misled. The actions of the U.S. shows that what's in the Washington Post, there's some truth to that, okay? We talked about the U.S. not intercepting missiles almost 2 weeks ago. I brought that report, which that is leaving the U.S. vulnerable, okay? And Iran knows it. That's the part that's concerning. They know this.
President Trump and Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth went at it at a recent cabinet meeting at Camp David. According to a report in the Washington Post, President Trump reportedly felt as though he was misled about the extreme shortages in munitions and thought that the problem had, quote unquote, been fixed. The president blasted the report overnight on Truth Social, posting that it was fake news and vowing to go after the treasonous people who leaked this information to the press. But here's the thing. According to a report from the Center for Strategic and International Studies, the numbers of THAAD and Patriot interceptors have actually been depleted by about a half since this war started, and the number of Tomahawks have been depleted by about a third. And the lack of munitions is actually changing the way the United States is conducting war in Iran. According to reporting from NBC News, U.S. commanders in the region are not even intercepting all of the missiles that Iran.
Bingo, and I just told you guys that, and we talked about that 2 weeks ago, that they're allowing some of those missiles to go through.
Iran is launching in the Gulf. And according to reporting from Reuters, because of the lack of long-range missiles, if we continue large-scale airstrikes, we would have to use much riskier piloted bombing missions. And these weapons and munitions are extremely expensive and take anywhere from...
That part is $1 to $2 million and can take up to 5 years, okay? Again, When Pete Hegseth was in front of Congress, he went from a couple of months to a couple of years.
1 to 5 years to replenish. My sources are telling me that this leaves the United States in what they call a window of vulnerability. And especially if this war in Iran doesn't resolve anytime soon, the United States could be exposed in other parts of the world.
President Donald Trump is calling on a, quote, leaker to be jailed. And that's because they...
Now again, Diamond Gang, Hegseth blamed the Deputy Secretary of War, Stephen Feinberg, passing the buck to him. They have a habit of doing that.
Released some of the private information that he relayed to Pete Hegseth at a cabinet meeting last week at Camp David. Now, the Washington Post came out with a story yesterday that Pete Hegseth got an earful from President Trump at that meeting because the U.S. has a short supply of missiles. Reports indicate that there's not enough offensive and defensive missiles in the U.S. arsenal, and that is hurting the U.S. war plans in the Middle East. Now, if the U.S. doesn't have enough missiles to fire against Iran, it's going to hurt President Trump's plan to bomb them into submission. And if they don't have enough missiles...
And guess what, Diamond Gang, I found out today? Saudi Arabia, their munition stockpile is running low. Okay? And they were facing 2 attacks, okay, from the Yemens and from the Iraqi militias. And we're going to go into that next.
To defend against Iranian attacks against U.S. troops in the region, there could be issues where troops could be placed in danger. President Trump reportedly yelled at Hegseth over the matter, and Hegseth immediately blamed his Deputy Secretary of War, Stephen Feinberg. Trump also reportedly called Feinberg himself and told him to figure it out. So there are questions that remain. Does the U.S. have enough missiles or not? Well, President Trump tipped his cards a little bit last night by calling on these leakers behind these reports to be jailed. His calling for them to be jailed kind of indicates that there's some truth to these reports, that the U.S. does not have enough offensive and defensive missile capabilities. Still, the president and the White House say that the U.S. has all the munitions it needs to continue its war against Iran. But the fact that President Trump is calling for jail time for leakers that are kind of having a hand in these reports is telling, and it does indicate that there may be an actual missile shortage facing the U.S. military.
And there is. Again, Diamond Gang, Saudi Arabia was bracing for a 2-pronged attack, one from the Iraqi militias and the other from the Houthis, in Yemen. Both of these are proxies of Iran, allies of Iran.
Hey, this is breaking news. Officials in Saudi Arabia say they're bracing for a possible 2-pronged attack to come immediately. One direction coming from Iraqi militias and the other from the Houthis in Yemen, allies of Iran. It's a tense time here in the Middle East. Follow for the latest breaking news.
Now listen, Diamond Gang, in response to the Houthis and the militia group, Saudi Arabia has formed a trilateral defense pact. I was telling you guys that at the beginning of the live stream, with Turkey and Pakistan. And again, they are just about out of missiles themselves. Saudi, they have no protection. Majority of them over there in the Middle East, we have no way to protect them at all. This is the reason why Saudi came together with Turkey and Pakistan. So if any one of the 3 are attacked, it would be considered an attack against them all. Okay? Well, let's get into it. And it's crazy because Pakistan is okay with us and Iran. Remember, they are the mediators.
Updates.
Oh, and Turkey just recently got threatened by Israel. So we'll get into that.
Iranian-backed forces in several different countries are reportedly preparing a massive coordinated attack against Saudi Arabia. In response to intelligence reports detailing a 2-pronged attack from Iranian-backed proxies, Saudi Arabia has formed a historic trilateral defense pact with Turkey and Pakistan. The agreement says that an armed attack on any one of these 3 states will be treated as an attack against them all. This comes after a Houthi cross-border projectile attack on a southern Saudi province wounded 11 civilians. Joint intelligence from Saudi Arabia, the U.S., and other regional partners shows that drones and missiles are actively being repositioned. This indicates they're planning synchronized strikes from the north and south as well to overwhelm.
Let me tell you guys something, right? Once they signed this pact, Iran said, this piece of paper, this pact y'all signed, it's not going to save you. This is how bold and brazen they are. They told Saudi Arabia that pack is not going to save you. Quit begging for help or for someone to defend you that can't, meaning the U.S.
Air defenses, forcing them to track hundreds of incoming threats at the same time. As all of this is happening, Houthi forces escalated their campaign within Yemen. Coordinated missile and drone strikes took the lives of at least 58 troops. This is the deadliest single-day escalation in Yemen's civil war since.
Not only 58 troops, 58 soldiers, it was 11 civilians as well. Okay, this was one of the deadliest days. This attack was bad.
2022. The latest warning also follows recent Houthi claims of imposing a naval blockade on Saudi shipping in the Red Sea. The Houthis targeted 2 separate Saudi tankers in the Red Sea over the past week.
So it looks like a new front may have just opened up in the Iran war, threatening even more instability for the Middle East and decreasing the chances that the Iran war is wrapped up anytime soon.
Because we have multiple fires right now. That was their goal, was to spread and widen this war. They have done that. Okay, so again, the Houthis carried out strikes unaliving, 58 soldiers, 11 civilians inside of Saudi Arabia. Okay, again, this was one of the deadliest days. They targeted an airport, they struck and sunk an Indian vessel, and they targeted Saudi Arabia's oil tanker. They also carried out military attacks. So let's go.
So yesterday, the IRGC-backed Houthi rebels in Yemen carried out an attack against the Yemeni government forces, sparking fears that this could really boil over. Now, the initial reports are that 58 government soldiers were killed, along with 11 civilians inside of Saudi Arabia wounded by Houthi drone strikes. This marks one of the deadliest days in the 4-year civil war, and of course warns that this conflict could return to full-scale war. Now, in recent days, we've seen a significant increase in Houthi operations. On August 4th, they targeted the Saudi Najran airport. That same day, they struck and sunk an Indian vessel off the coast of Yemen. August 5th, they targeted a Saudi oil tanker. And then August 6th, just yesterday, they announced that they carried out a military operation. We have some footage of this, and it's been confirmed by a number of sources, in 3 different areas of Yemen where Saudi-backed forces were deployed. So the Yemeni government forces, according to the Houthis, hundreds of Saudi enemy mercenaries were killed and injured. A large number of the camps were destroyed, as well as vehicles and logistics facilities. The Times of Israel updated reporting earlier today said that at least 58 government troops had been killed, while 11 civilians were wounded inside Saudi Arabia. So the concern here, as we're getting reports from a number of different angles, is that the Houthis are considering ramping up pressure on Saudi Arabia, and Saudi is also looking at options to ramp up pressure on the Houthis, especially as they try.
And here's the thing, they're looking to ramp up. And thank goodness they signed the pact, because again, we'll get into that. They depleted majority of their missiles in the beginning of this war. Remember, the Houthis was in this in the beginning. Okay, and Saudi Arabia and the U.S. jointly fought them together. Okay, and they ran out. They depleted theirs. So they're in the same boat that we are in.
Try to open the Bab el-Mandeb Strait.
So now we're going to get into this joint defense pact with Saudi Arabia, Turkey, and Pakistan. Okay, again, the agreement states that any attack against one of those countries will be considered an attack on all 3 of them. Okay. Listen, Iran and their proxies, they are causing major havoc in the Middle East.
Answer.
I think the first thing is
that it signals a realignment, a security realignment, not just in the region.
Let me tell you what this pact is. This pact is the NATO of the Middle East. Okay? This is definitely the NATO of the Middle East, and that's what they're calling it. They can't depend on the U.S. to protect them, but guess what? Because they signed this pact, you could cancel the Abraham Accords. It's not going to happen. It was never going to happen because Saudi Arabia is not going to recognize Israel. Okay? So it wasn't going to happen to begin with. But because they signed this pact, it's off the table for sure. But let's take a listen.
But I think more broadly than that, sort of in the international geostrategic landscape, there have been a lot of doubts about whether the United States is a reliable security guarantor on the one hand, whether the United States is actually a reliable provider of weaponry, especially in the form of air capabilities such as fighter jets.
Hold on, let me read this really quick. You said Israel would lose against Turkey. Turkey will not shot down Israel's. They did? They shot down Israel's planes? Well, guess what? I told you guys this was coming as well, too. It will be a time where Israel and Iran will exchange. Okay? Fire back and forth. It's coming.
Jets. Not to mention whether it actually is expedient for countries like Saudi Arabia to rely on the United States to defend Saudi vital interests. So I think it certainly signals that there is a realignment here happening. I think it's also quite clear that it's a way to refute sort of the claims that the Abraham Accords are still something that could actually materialize and incorporate countries like Saudi Arabia. I think that ship seems to have sailed now.
See, he said that ship has seemed to have sailed, but Israel believes that there still may be a chance that it can happen, the Abraham Accords. I don't think it will, because when they were talking about giving Saudi an enrichment program, but Saudi had to recognize Israel, Saudi said, no, if that's going to be a stipulation, never mind.
This Article 5 aspect of it seems to suggest that if the Saudis were attacked, and therefore the Turkish and the Pakistanis would intervene on their behalf. But of course, these three countries have different strategic environments with, by and large, sort of different adversaries as well. I think this is a deterrence. This is the deterrence aspect of this pact. I think it does help the Saudis signal to its adversaries, whether it's the Houthis or whether it's Iran, that it has allies with serious military capabilities.
Saudi Arabia, Pakistan, and Turkey sign a mutual defense pact.
Again, the Mecca Joint Defense Pact. It was signed Friday. It's a trilateral deal. Again, Saudi Arabia, Turkey, Pakistan. I'm going to say this. The balance of power is shifting, okay? Pakistan has been involved with the negotiations with the U.S., Israel, and Iran. And again, Israel threatened Turkey. They threatened Turkey. All right, let's go.
In Mecca. The agreement states that any attack against one of the countries will be considered an attack on all three. Here are all your latest updates. The Mecca Joint Defense Pact. The leaders of the three regional powers gathered in Mecca on Friday to sign a landmark defense cooperation pact. The Saudi Crown Prince, Turkey's president, and Pakistan.
That part right there. Mitch said a lot of other countries will be forming alliances amongst themselves. I told you guys that. I said they're going to go around the U.S. and they're going to start making deals with Iran directly. Iraq is in the process of doing that right now. Okay? They're doing that right now. We have no way to defend our allies at all. All right, let's go.
Pakistani Prime Minister agreed to the trilateral deal as the war on Iran continues to reshape the balance of power in the region. The agreement states that it's intended to strengthen collective deterrence against any act of aggression and stipulates any armed attack against any one of the three states shall be regarded as an attack against all of them, bringing together Pakistan, a nuclear power, Turkey, which has the second largest army in NATO, and Saudi Arabia, a regional economic powerhouse. The deal strengthens military coordination, intelligence sharing, and shared economic production at a time when each of the three countries have been looking to strengthen their security ties against the backdrops of Israel's genocide in Gaza and the US and Israel's war on Iran. Since the onset of the war on Iran, Saudi Arabia has grown closer to regional allies including Turkey, Qatar, Egypt, and Pakistan, which have been pushing for mediation and a resolution to the conflict.
Now, let me say this really quick. Right now, Trump is being mocked by Iran's chief negotiator. Iran is stronger, controlling the straits and putting pressure on the U.S. right now.
But what does the agreement mean for a region that was only recently at boiling point? Pakistan and Turkey have been key negotiators in the efforts to bring the war on Iran to an end, and US bases and oil infrastructure in Saudi Arabia have been repeatedly targeted. And Turkey has faced increasing threats from Israeli officials.
Bingo. I told you guys, Turkey is being threatened by Israel, saying that they're next. Let me take it back because he's going to say it. They are next.
Iran to an end, and US bases and oil infrastructure in Saudi Arabia have been repeatedly targeted. And Turkey has faced increasing threats from Israeli officials that it is next on their hit list. So the agreement therefore sends a clear message to key actors in the region, namely Israel and Iran, that such aggressions must come to an end, and a more stable path for the region has to be forged. Prior to this deal being signed, Trump was being mocked by Iran's chief negotiator for his indecisiveness, and Iranian officials were insisting that the country is emerging from the war in an even stronger negotiating position, having demonstrated its ability to control the Strait of Hormuz.
They are the new powerhouse of the Middle East. Iran is the new powerhouse.
And sustained pressure on the US.
Saudi Arabia, Turkey, and Pakistan have announced.
Now, they're considering this pact to be a power play on Iran. The important part of this is a defense alliance, okay? Iran said the alliance will not work. They do not fear. Also, they told them, you need to change your policies so you won't have to beg for security, is what they said, okay? And again, Israel believes that there still could be a chance for the Abraham Accords. I don't think so. Not with Saudi. I just don't believe it.
A joint defense alliance, a move many are calling the Muslim NATO. But what's really behind this alliance? More than likely, it's a power play against Iran. Pakistan, Saudi Arabia, and Turkey signed what they called the Mecca Joint Defense Agreement on August 7th, issuing a joint statement that an armed attack on one will be considered an attack on all of them. Representatives from the three countries state that this agreement is purely defensive in nature and isn't aimed at one particular country, but it falls amidst the backdrop of the Iran war, which has the potential to reignite at any moment, and amid renewed hostilities between Saudi Arabia and the Houthis of Yemen, which receives support from the Iranian government. Iranian lawmaker Ibrahim Razai criticized the new defense agreement between Saudi Arabia, Turkey, and Pakistan, saying it would not provide Saudi Arabia with security. He said, reform your policies so that you do not need to beg for security from others, while also referencing Saudi's defense pact.
Let me stop and read this comment again. I couldn't see it all at first, David. You said Israel would lose against Turkey. Turkey will shoot down Israel's planes. They have done it before against its allies, Russia, and, shot first and ask questions later. I believe it.
With the Americans, which has failed to adequately protect Saudi interests. The implication being that Saudi will expect Pakistan and Turkey to mobilize as security support in response.
And that is what the Houthis are doing. They are targeting Saudi Arabia's oil, okay?
Response to threats from Iran against American infrastructure, or against the Houthis who are fighting a decades-long Saudi blockade. Additionally, according to Israeli media, the new alliance could also present an opportunity for Israel, arguing that.
Now you see how it changes, okay? The previous clips that I played, he said this shoots down the idea of the Abraham Accords. I think the same way. That is my opinion. But she has an opposing opinion and, well, Israel, they believe that it could potentially happen.
Closer ties amongst the three countries could contribute favorably to Donald Trump's vision of expanding the Abraham Accords. Normalization between Israel and Saudi Arabia has been on the table for quite some time.
And the reason why I'm saying no is because if they didn't accept what Trump was offering them as far as enriching uranium, why would they do it now? Why would they do it now?
Spearheaded by Trump. Saudi, however, has been insistent that it will not join unless a clear pathway to a Palestinian state is established. But analysts say if Saudi does join, this new agreement could also accelerate similar moves by other countries, potentially including Pakistan and Turkey.
The power dynamics in the Middle East just saw a big shakeup today with Saudi Arabia, Pakistan, and Turkey signing a joint defense agreement.
Now, guys, you're about to hear the threat that Iran gave them.
Key among the details in this, if one of those countries is attacked, it will be viewed as an attack on all three, similar to NATO Article 5. Of course, Iran is the big elephant in the room as a perceived threat, particularly for Saudi Arabia. But Iran coming out today telling Saudi Arabia that a defense pact will not protect them and that they need to change their policies towards Iran. Follow for the latest updates out of the Middle East.
Now, again, Iran is locking down the straits. Saudi, Turkey, and Pakistan signed the defense pact because the U.S. cannot protect them. Iran said that they will charge 5 to 7% to pass through the Straits of Hormuz. Guess who's exempt, Diamond Gang? China. China's exempt. Okay? Iran drafts this law to control the straits. It bans American ships and Israel ships. And Trump basically came out and said that they control the straits and it's still not safe. All right, let's get into it.
Breaking news, Iran is locking down the Strait of Hormuz. Trump admitted the waterway is still not safe. And Saudi Arabia just signed a defense pact with Turkey and Pakistan because they no longer trust America to protect them. Here's what happened in order. On Thursday, Iran said it would charge ships 5 to 7% of their cargo value to pass through the Strait of Hormuz. Chinese ships are exempt. That could make Iran hundreds of millions of dollars per day. The same day, Iran released a draft.
Not only that, but what their hard lines are, and we'll go over all of their points that they sent to the U.S. through mediators. It is insane. They want at least $300 billion of their frozen assets. These are all demands before they will allow ships to go through the straits.
Law to take full control of the strait. It bans American and Israeli ships, blocks anything linked to Israel, and puts Iranian forces in charge of who can sail through. This morning, Trump finally admitted the strait is not safe. He said Iran can still hit ships with drones, mines, or missiles, and no one wants to risk their vessels.
And that part right there, this is why they will always maintain. This is it. We will never go back to pre-war state.
A few hours later, Saudi Arabia, Turkey, and Pakistan signed a defense agreement. An attack on one will be treated as an attack on all. Iran answered right away. They said a paper deal with Turkey and Pakistan will not protect Saudi Arabia any more than protection from America did. They also warned of possible strikes on Saudi oil sites. The real reason for the new...
Again, in those oil sites that's targeted, it'll be done by the Houthis, their proxies.
Alliance, Saudi Arabia used up 86% of its American Patriot missiles in the first weeks of fighting.
You guys heard that. I told you guys that they have used up their Patriot missiles in the beginning of the war when the Houthis were involved. So it's like they're in the same predicament that the U.S. is in. And the U.S. can't protect them. They had to sign that pact.
And the U.S. stockpile is badly depleted. Gulf countries now know America cannot shield them. Now that's the news. But here's the truth. Trump knows he lost the Strait of Hormuz. That is why he stopped talking about it. He will try to spin it as a win later. But this is a huge loss for the U.S. and an even bigger one for Israel. The region has changed forever. Iran is now the superpower in the Middle East. Other countries are forming a NATO-style alliance just to feel safe from Iran. And Iran has already told them that paper will not save them at all. Saudi Arabia realized America can no longer back them, so they ran to Turkey for protection, but no one really wants to mess with Iran at this time. I'm in complete awe of how Iran handled this whole war. From the beginning, they showed restraint and respect to the U.S., even after America bombed them during talks and killed their supreme leader. They only hit back hard when their backs were against the wall. Trump listened to Netanyahu instead of his advisors, who warned him that this would happen. And now America has lost control of the most important waterway on earth, and Iran is writing the new rules in the Middle East and the Strait of Hormuz.
All right, now we're going to get into, y'all know I like to hear all sides, okay? Once we hear all sides, we will be getting into Iran preparing missiles to reach America. Okay, they are trying to increase their range to 15,000 kilometers. And we're going to get into that next, but let's go.
The talks with Oman are about a temporary route. We're almost very close to the result. Determining this route by Iran and Oman does not necessarily mean the reopening of the Strait of Hormuz. That is dependent on other factors. The violations of the Memorandum of Understanding by America should...
So, Diamond Gang, Iran is taking it back to the MOU. Everything that was promised in the MOU, they want that and some. If they're charging 5 to 7%, they want what was promised in the MOU plus to be able to charge these tolls.
Be compensated. The current situation, I should say clearly, is the result of violating the Memorandum of Understanding by America. Work is being carried out based on the maps of this route prepared by the armed forces. Negotiations have taken place between the navies of the two countries, and the details are being finalized. I believe we will be...
Did y'all hear that? The navies of the two countries. I thought their navy was gone under the sea.
Able to conclude these negotiations very soon.
Now, the president of Iran spoke out. He said, we did not start this.
We did not start this war. We were in negotiations, but they kept inciting war. Of course, since many say his team came in to avoid the war, but the war still happened. But we didn't start it. Given the situation as we move forward, their calculation was that the country would collapse. And they said something could be done in this context. But the process did not proceed the way they wanted. The people of Iran stayed with us. Even those who had protests bit the bullet.
That part, okay, and I brought this piece for a reason. The ones that were protesting bit the bullet and ended up joining in. I'm going to show y'all two clips from Ted Cruz still screaming and hollering. This is the U.S. Senator from Texas, if you guys can recall. He said to arm the protesters. Now, remember, Trump tried to do this with the Kurdish people. And what did they do? They stole. They kept the weapons. But let's keep going.
And we were able to hold on until now. And now we will remain stronger and more powerful by the grace of God.
He said they expected us to collapse under pressure they applied. The pressure has been ongoing for years. Just like Trump say it had taken 47 years. This is how long they've been, preparing for this moment. 47 years. And didn't have much to do with this. Government or previous one. They were steadily pushing our economy closer to the abyss day by day. He's talking about sanctions and creating problems. Now under our government, this pressure has reached its maximum, and they are surprised. And their analysis is why we still haven't collapsed. Sanctions are a reality when we cannot sell our oil. It means we won't have foreign currency. or at least much less of it, with less of it.
کمتر خواهیم داشت. کمتر وقتی داشتیم خب طبیعتاً
We will continue naturally, we will naturally face problems, and we must find ways.
مشکلات
And they have, because they've been selling oil. Remember, guys, when the blockades was there, under Chinese currency and crypto,
خواهیم داشت. و این مشکل
to minimize these as much as possible.
مشکلات رو باید راهی پیدا کنیم که بتونیم مشکلی که داریم
The problem is the U.S. has utilized the territories of regional countries
اینه که کشورهای منطقه آمریکا از اونجا
to launch attacks on us and target our bases.
پایگاه‌های ما رو زده.
For instance, the attack on the Manab school was carried
مدرسه
out
مینا با کجا زدن؟
from the soil of those very same
اون کشورهای
Muslims and friendly nations.
مسلمون دوست ما. چرا باید
The question is, why these countries
اون اجازه بدن بیان ما رو بزنن؟
permit their territories to be used for attacks against us? So he's talking about Saudi Arabia, Jordan. He's talking about them.
و تازه ما نمیخوایم اونا رو
We have no intentions on attacking others, yet we respond to attacks directed at us.
بزنیم. از اون جایی که دارن ما رو میزنیم. چرا باید
What justification is there for the U.S.
آمریکا در اینجا بیاد پایگاه بزنه
to establish bases in this region and exert pressure or launch? I told you guys, they want us out of there. That's why they attacked Jordan so many times. They are trying to force our military out. They want a full withdrawal of U.S. forces out of the Middle East. That's some of their hard lines.
کشورهای اسلامی رو هر کی به حرف اینا گوش نداد بزنه تو کله.
Attacks against any Islamic country that does not comply with its dictates.
کی گفته
Who has said that we should not be subservient or obedient to them?
ما باید نوکر حلقه به گوش اینا باشیم؟ چرا؟ ما
While we have no intentions of bullying anyone, we will never submit to force.
قصد زورگویی به کسی نداریم. ولی زیر بار و زور هم نمیریم. قرار نیست به ما زور
We will not allow ourselves to be coerced.
بگم. قرار نیست بیان در
Nor will we permit them to enter our country and plunder our resources.
کشور ما منابع ما رو ببرن. الان در عراق
Much like what is happening in Iraq.
نفت
He's saying that, but Iraq right now is working a backdoor deal for oil from Iran right now.
پولشون بهشون نمیدن.
Where oil is sold, but the revenues are not paid to them. Maybe that's why they're working out this backdoor deal, guys.
ما مجبور بودیم
Consequently, we were compelled to defend ourselves.
خودمون دفاع کنیم.
So you guys just heard it. So he's talking about Iraq, and again, they're working out a deal. So in a minute, you'll hear about it. They made a deal. They're selling oil to Iraq. Now we're going to get into the Iran preparing missiles to reach America. Again, they are preparing to increase the range of their missiles to up to 15,000 kilometers. The IRGC has been trying to take us out of the region and expand. I told you guys plenty of times, they said they're going to widen this war, they're going to expand it to other territories. They are set on avenging their supreme leader, okay? This is why Trump say they can never have a nuclear weapon, but Iran is saying they have no other choice.
10 hours ago, Tehran preparing missiles capable of reaching the United States, clerics have said. A senior Iranian cleric said on Friday today that the Islamic Republic was preparing to increase the range of its missiles to 15,000 kilometers or 9,300 miles, which he said would allow them to reach deep into the United States. Moussa Vefard said Americans should experience what it's like.
Walking us back, I know they wish they never launched those joint strikes with Israel. Because at some point, if President Trump walks away like he plans on doing, and we don't have a nuclear deal in place, we're in trouble.
To be hit by missiles, and also asserted that Iran's existing missiles could reach Jerusalem. So they're trying to expand this to hit the United States, and this is a threat directly to U.S. soil. Now, in addition to that, take a look. Iranian cleric warns Gulf states of missile attacks over U.S. reliance, and you can see the date on this is August 7, 2026, coming out just 10 hours ago. So this is news coming out just today, and this aligns with what I've been sharing with you for quite some time. We've been hearing the IRGC saying that they want to take this out of the region, extend this across the world, and they want the death of the previous supreme leader, Ali Khamenei, to be avenged on U.S. soil with the shedding of U.S. blood. Now you can see this was back in June. Witkoff Kushner were on their way to Qatar for Iranian talks as IRGC hardliners demanded that the dead supreme leader, Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, be avenged on American soil. And this is aligning with what we're seeing in
Listen, right before I came on, guys, and I was not able to get this for you guys, they hit a U.S. city. The lights are out and everything else. Cyber attacks. So it's not just the water now.
Just the past 10 hours. In addition to that, we've also heard, this is why Donald Trump said Iran can never have a nuclear weapon. And Iran is saying that they have no choice but to get a nuclear weapon. Now, we have heard them say now that they want to get missiles that can reach all the way to the United States to bomb us so that we Americans can feel what it's like to be hit with a missile on U.S. soil. And they're saying they need a nuclear warhead to strap on to that as well. Let me know your thoughts, but this is a direct threat from the IRGC, not to our U.S. military bases in the region, but rather directly to U.S. soil. They said they want Americans to feel what it's like to be hit by a missile.
Hey, Senator Ted Cruz.
Now we're going to get into Ted Cruz. Again, he's back in the spotlight because he wants President Trump to arm the protesters. You just heard the Iranian president state that those that were protesting against their government, they are now hand in hand. They have come together as a whole. Let's go.
Cruz is re-upping his call to arm the protesters in Iran.
Arm the protesters. Iran is a nation of 92 million people. Millions of the people of Iran do not.
And again, President Trump tried this with the Kurdish militia group, and they ended up keeping the weapons. This is ridiculous.
Not want to live under these Islamist dictators who murder and torture and oppress them. We saw at the beginning of this conflict heroic protesters stand up, and the regime killed somewhere between 10,000 and 40,000 of them. It is not fair to expect an Iranian citizen to fight with rocks against soldiers with machine guns. That's not a fair fight. What I believe we should do, what I've urged President Trump repeatedly, what I've urged Israel to do repeatedly, is arm the protesters. I don't know the details of.
I'm sorry, but I don't agree with that at all.
What any Iran deal might hold. I've said from the beginning that giving billions of dollars to theocratic lunatics who want to murder us is a very bad idea. And so I very much hope the
That statement right there was one of the statements that made Trump walk back from that MOU. Because Trump's seen that as an exit route. You guys know that. But until he started getting backlash from the Republican Party, he started backtracking.
administration does not go down that path. I don't know if they will or not. I think President Trump was exactly right to launch military action against Iran when the Ayatollah says death to America. I believe him. I think the president is a strong commander-in-chief who's acting to keep America safe.
And one more question on Iran. In your interview last night, you mentioned about regime change in Iran. Can you tell us more about that?
I believe our objective should be regime collapse, removing theocratic lunatics who want to murder Americans. They have.
You see where we at? Regime change never happened, and it wasn't going to happen.
Have been tyrants to the Iranian people, and they have been vicious enemies to the people of America.
And regarding to the new sanction on Iranian regime, can you tell us what you think about that? Because President Trump is negotiating by Iranian regime and Congress is putting more sanction on Iran.
Well, the legislation we passed gives the president the authority to impose more sanctions. He's going to determine if and when to use that authority.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Let me stop it right there. David said Patriots could be produced faster in Ukraine, but Boeing said no. Hold on, because I have a piece from Ukraine. We just signed a deal with them. So hold tight.
Well, it turns out that even Trump's top.
Now, again, General Dan Kane warned Trump, and he said that the U.S. needed an off-ramp. Okay? But he spoke directly with J.D. Vance. He spoke with Rubio. But when he spoke to Trump, he gave him a vision of an off-ramp looking like a win to satisfy. So he kind of tiptoes around President Trump.
General has been privately warning the U.S. desperately needs to find an off-ramp in the Iran war. General Dan Kane argues that existing military strategies have reached their limit and could heavily backfire. Before actually meeting with Trump, General Kane held private discussions with key national security figures, including J.D. Vance, Marco Rubio, and the CIA director. Insiders say that Kane's maneuvering is an effort to protect the U.S. military from a costly trap. He wants the administration to coordinate an exit that lets Donald Trump think he won while transitioning to a diplomatic track. This could involve an agreement to reopen the blockaded Strait of Hormuz, although even if it is reopened, it will still likely remain under Iran's control. But Kane has told advisors that U.S. airstrikes alone cannot force Iran to accept Washington's terms without a full-scale ground invasion, largely because Iran...
Again, take it from the beginning. We got one or two choices. We either go ahead and leave, or we escalate.
Command structure and military assets are buried deeply underground. And since the Pentagon is running low on critical precision-guided munitions and air defense missile interceptors, it seems like we have no other option but to find an off-ramp and falsely declare victory when the entire world knows that we lost this war.
Hey, this is Break.
Now, guys, while all of this was going on, guess what happened? A ship was attacked in the Strait yesterday.
Breaking news. We just received this incident report from British maritime trade officials saying that a ship was just attacked off of the coast of Oman.
So again, they maintain control of the straits.
Struck by an unknown projectile. The region remains very tense. Follow for the latest breaking news updates out of the Middle East.
I try to remind people that we're really in the...
Now, J.D. Vance, we haven't seen from J.D. Vance in a while. Once that ship was attacked, he spoke out. He is still speaking as if we have pressure, like we still have the pressure on Iran, okay, and like there's still options, okay. According to J.D. Vance, we still have options.
Middle of the game here. This thing is not over. It's obviously not at the beginning. We're in the middle of the game, and we're applying a whole host of tools, diplomatic, economic, military tools, to ensure that we get the best outcome for the American people. I feel quite confident we will get there, but we're still a bit in the middle of the game.
And the Iranians, through different methods, have broadcasted that they look to tighten their grip on the Strait of Hormuz. So in a theoretical deal, what would it...
But guys, I got a clip of Scott Bessent. And Scott Bessent is basically saying that the Straits is being controlled by Iran, but claims, and I want y'all to pay attention. I'll wait till we get to this next clip.
An acceptable status quo be for the Strait?
Well, our expectation is you're going to see the same amount of oil and gas come out of the Gulf that you saw before the conflict started. That is what the Iranians have told us that they are going to do. That's what the entire Gulf coalition wants to do as well. But, you know, we don't trust, we verify. We actually look not at people's words, but at people's deeds. You see some people within the Iranian system, of course, talk about tolling. The Iranians have told us they have no plans to toll the Strait of Hormuz. But again, we're going to see what actions actually happen. We've destroyed their nuclear program. We've destroyed their conventional military. We've radically reduced their, what you might call their asymmetric military abilities. And right now we're trying to see if they're willing to make the kind of long-term changes that would be necessary.
So he's still speaking as if we're holding cards.
To have a better relationship with the United States. And if not, that's fine too. We're just going to keep on applying the pressure that we can apply and getting.
What pressure? We are out of munitions.
As much oil and gas out of the Middle East so that Americans can enjoy lower gas and energy prices.
Some who've speculated.
Now pay attention to Scott Bessick. He's basically going to say that the Straits is being controlled by Iran, but he believes that the Straits will become irrelevant. Okay. And there's a reason, and we're going to get into this later. Remember, guys, I told you about Greenland. Trump got caught. There was equipment over there yesterday.
The strait will never go back to being the way it was before. What would you say?
I would think they're saying that in a doomsday sort of way. I would say it in another way. The strait is never going back to the way it was because the Iranians have used or tried to use it as a choke point. What we are going to see over the next 2 years, the strait's going to become irrelevant. It is.
And guess why he's saying that? Because he just assumed that we were going to be over there getting oil from Greenland. Wait till you guys see this.
Going to become just another body of water. And I would say that more than 50 or 70% of the energy that moves through the strait now is going to go through underground pipelines.
Hey, this is breaking news. Amid all these negotiations.
Now we're going to get into the demands coming from Iran in order to open up the straits, what they want for the U.S. They put out their list of demands, so we are basically caught up in real time. Diamond Gang, as you come in, please don't forget to hit the like, subscribe to the channel. If you are on YouTube, hit that subscribe button. If you are on Rumble, hit that follow button. If you would like to support the channel, it is $ The Great Spills the Tea. You can also support Super Chat, Super Sticker on Rumble. It is considered a rant, or you can simply hit that like button. All right, guys, let's go.
Iran's Supreme National Security Council just issued a new list of demands to the United States. Among them, total end to the war.
Diamond Gang. Number 1, we have to end the war. No more threats from the U.S. We have to end the naval blockade with full withdrawal. They want compensation for damages. Okay.
War. The United States will never threaten Iran again. They want the U.S. to end the naval blockade, withdraw their troops from the region, and added compensation for damages done during the war. Follow for the latest breaking news updates on the situation with Iran.
Breaking news. We have
now we're going to get into a little bit more details. $, okay? They want $300 billion in compensation, a total ban on U.S. and Israeli ships, the right to charge up to 7%, and I've been saying it throughout this live stream, or the straits will stay closed, okay? And we're going to get into is a possible back and forth between Israel and Iran, and I told you guys eventually it would come down to this, okay?
More information about the Strait of Hormuz and Iran's demands to open it up. Iran just laid out 9 hard conditions before we reopen the Strait of Hormuz. They want $300 billion in compensation, a total ban on U.S. and Israeli ships, and the right to charge up to 7% on every cargo that passes through. Iran's Supreme National Security Council said the waterway stays shut until the U.S. corrects his behavior. They made it clear it has to meet every single $100 billion for war damages, lift every sanction, release all frozen Iranian assets with no conditions, give Iran the right to charge up to 7% on cargo, ban all U.S. and Israeli vessels, hit ships with a 20% extra toll if any condition is broken. This is not a negotiation. It's a list of demands telling the U.S. to surrender on money, military presence, sanctions, and control of the strait. The $300 billion is not an opening offer. It's the cost of doing business. Washington can...
Again, I told you guys, we will have to pay them to open the straits. I've said this a multitude of times.
Accept these terms or keep the strait closed. There is no middle ground. Iran drew the line. The ball is now in Trump's court. But Iran says the conditions will not be changing. And at the same time, Israel is preparing for a possible solo strike on Iran. Israeli Channel 13 reports that Israel now believes the U.S. is no longer willing to finish the war the way Israel wants.
So you have Israel willing to go up against Iran. They're fighting Hezbollah, and they're in Gaza fighting Hamas. Out of control.
Israel may act alone, and that would make Israel Iran's main target in the next phase. The U.S. is looking for a way out. General Dan Kane is searching for an off-ramp. He does not believe air power alone can defeat Iran. Israel sees American diplomacy as a dead end.
And again, air power alone cannot defeat Iran. Their military consists over 900,000, including reservists. We cannot go to a ground operation. It will be total devastation.
And is getting ready to move by itself. Iran has already warned it will hit Israel's Haifa oil refinery and Tel Aviv directly if Israel escalates. Israel's interceptor stocks are critically low, leaving it open to the exact retaliation.
So now we have three allies. Israel, their stockpile is low. The U.S., our stockpile is low. Saudi Arabia, their stockpile is low. It is time to pull out. Okay?
A strike would bring. Iran has already shown it can punch through Israeli air defenses. A unilateral Israeli attack could trigger a response that overwhelms what Israel has left. But Netanyahu's calculation looks political more than military. With elections coming in October, he needs a victory. Striking Iran is his last card. But if Israel goes it alone, it will only prove it cannot defeat Iran without American backing.
That part, and they need us. But here, Trump put together that deal. And Hamas is still willing to go through this deal. But Benjamin Netanyahu declined and said he will not fully withdraw. We're going to go into that. The disrespect is unbelievable.
I think Netanyahu is straight up bluffing.
President Donald Trump's most senior...
Now we're going to get into General Dan Kane, what he had to say, guys, again. Behind the scenes, he spoke with top advisors. He's trying to find an off-ramp. He spoke to Rubio. He spoke to CIA Director John Radcliffe. He spoke to J.D. Vance. But he was less direct with President Trump.
Senior general is arguing, at least privately, that there is no easy military solution to the now nearly 6-month-long conflict with Iran. According to multiple sources who spoke with CNN, Chairman of the Joint Chiefs, General Dan Kane, has made it clear to other top advisors that the United States needs to find an off-ramp. That's because the military options on the table to escalate the conflict could backfire, and air power alone has its limits when it comes to achieving the president's stated objectives. Sources say Kane has raised these concerns with other key officials, including CIA Director John Radcliffe, Secretary of State Marco Rubio, and Vice President J.D. Vance. Some say that he has been less direct with Trump himself, carefully conveying the potential downsides of escalating military action, including at a recent meeting where Kane specifically raised concerns about the United States' dwindling munitions stockpile. In a statement, a White House official said Kane is a, quote, incredible asset, adding this: the general always provides accurate, unbiased information and a host of options to the commander-in-chief, who ultimately makes decisions based on what he feels is best for you.
Let me stop it right there. David said, remember, Iran was attacked by America in a war of choice. And we're going to get into that because at the end of the day, Russia and Ukraine, that's a war of choice. U.S. and Iran, a war of choice. And it's just insane that they can actually intertwine. Okay.
U.S. national security. A spokesperson for Kane said that they do not discuss the chairman's confidential conversations with the president, the secretary, or other senior leaders, and would not comment on what they referred to as agenda-driven characterizations of those conversations by sources who are not privy to them.
Now, this is the general, the IRGC, okay? He's the head man. Okay, he said, look, the reopening of the Straits of Hormuz has its own specific mechanisms and has no connection whatsoever to negotiating between Iran and Oman. The reopening of the Straits of Hormuz is, in fact, subject to conditions set by the Islamic Republic of Iran, and the straits will be reopened on the basis of those conditions. So they're basically saying that depends on the extent to which the United States is up to us to accept the conditions determined by the Islamic Republic of Iran. Look, they're saying, hey, we set up our route with Oman, but the conditions has nothing to do with Oman. Either the U.S. adhere to our demands or it will remain closed. And if the enemy is compelled for the straits to be reopened, accept Iran's conditions and refrain from interfering in the negotiations currently taking place between Iran, Oman, and other countries. So there's other countries involved, and this will continue to happen. They're going to go around the U.S., make separate deals with Iran so that they can keep their economy running, which have almost reached their conclusion, and must refrain from interference interference. So they're basically telling the U.S., let us do what we do and accept Iran's conditions. Whenever the U.S. accepts Iran's conditions, the Straits of Hormuz will certainly be reopened.
We've destroyed their nuclear program. We've destroyed their conventional military. We've radically reduced what you might call their asymmetric military abilities. And right now we're trying to see if they're willing to make the kind of long-term changes that would be necessary to have a better relationship with the United States. And if not, that's fine too. We're just going to keep on applying the pressure that we can apply and getting as much oil and gas.
What is the pressure? We need an off-ramp
out of the Middle East.
All right, so he's basically saying regarding the determination of the transit route in the Straits of Hormuz, an old route has existed known as the TSS, Traffic Separation Scheme. Given what occurred during the war, this route absolutely must be relocated. We are negotiating for a new TSS, Remember, guys, they'll come in through Iran and go out through Oman. But due to the technical and legal complexities, this route will entail. We are currently discussing a temporary route. Naturally, this temporary route will become the foundation for the final route. However, we are discussing the temporary route in order to more quickly resolve the issue. So they're trying to get the straits open. The Straits of Hormuz, which is a key subject in the current situation. We are very close to a conclusion. Work is underway. Maps for this route, which have been prepared by the armed forces. Negotiations have been taking place between naval forces. Remember, they said both countries' navy, Oman and Iran. But I thought their navy was under the sea. Two countries, Iran and Oman. The details are currently being finalized. And I believe we can conclude these negotiations very soon. Nevertheless, defining this route between Iran and Oman does not necessarily mean the opening of the straits. This is all contingent upon the United States. Other conditions, the instance of the Memorandum of Understanding. So again, they have put out there, they're going back to the original MOU. They are demanding what they want from the U.S. If we do not comply, they're not going to stay closed. Being violated by the United States. So they're basically saying we violated the MOU. Compensation for one by one. All of these compensations must take place before the straits is open. Subject to discretion of the SNSC, the Supreme National Security Council. I state clearly the current situation of the United States violating the Memorandum of Understanding.
Two words of choice.
Now, Diamond Gang, we're about to get into Ukraine and how this potentially could spill over. We had this conversation before, okay?
Big powers attacking smaller ones. This one, Russia's full-scale invasion of Ukraine, has been running since February 2022. This one, the U.S.-Israeli war with Iran, since February 2026.
Remember, Diamond Gang, Ukraine attacked that cargo ship in the Caspian Sea. Okay? Iran right now interfered with Russia as far as the Ukraine-Russian war. They have provided Russia with drones and intelligence. Okay.
What do these conflicts have in common? Turns out a lot. Could they get even more intertwined into a global conflict?
Has it not started already?
The dangers of entanglement came into focus at the end of July when Ukraine attacked an Iranian cargo ship in the Caspian Sea, far from its own front lines. A moment of international panic. Beyond the Caspian Sea scare,
But what is so wild about this? Ukraine is running out of interceptors, and they just recently made a deal for them to get them from us monthly. However, Ukraine is also offering their expertise to the Gulf, to the Middle East, as far as their drone warfare knowledge. So we won't get into that.
Ukraine has a serious grievance with Iran.
Iran started getting involved with Russia with supporting, sending Shahed drones and sending technologies that Russians improved it and made it better and sold it back to the Iranians. So Iran has very much been involved in Ukraine crisis from the outset.
Meanwhile, Ukraine is running out of interceptor missiles to defend itself against Russia, the U.S. instead prioritizing Gulf countries. That's one reason why Ukraine stepped in to offer its own expertise in drone warfare.
And what's so crazy is when the president of Ukraine came here to meet with the president, he said he could make a call to Putin. President Trump does not want to believe that Russia is helping Iran. Even though intelligence has told him this, he doesn't want to believe it.
One after years of Russian airstrikes to those Gulf countries.
So there are two goals here. One is to promote Ukrainian technology, to find new markets, to get more interceptor missiles for U.S.-made Patriot air defense systems, which Ukraine is critically dependent on, especially these days when Russia has intensified its attacks on Ukrainian civilian infrastructure.
Then there's oil. Iran's choking of the Strait of Hormuz and its attacks on oil infrastructure in Gulf countries have helped Russia, a big oil exporter, make more money. Money that it reinvests in its war in Ukraine. And Russia gains in another way.
The Russians feel there is another ground to challenge the United States global power.
As long as this war keeps going on, Russia will make good on this. That's just like China will make good. You heard them. The only country that's exempt is China. They don't have to pay that 5 to 7%. As long as this war goes down and the straits is on lock, guess who could sell their oil? Russia. So their allies they don't care if this goes on for eternity.
Power. And that is in Strait of Hormuz.
But U.S. President Donald Trump has consistently refused to point the finger at Russia, even after his Secretary of Defense said Russia and China were enabling Iran to attack U.S. targets.
You guys heard that. They have played a major part in each other. They've been helping one another.
Said that Russia was, quote, in my opinion, not participating in the Iran war. Maybe we've reached peak overlap between the Iran and Ukraine wars.
The Iranians wanted to make it a regional and a global crisis. They wanted to spread it, and they have unfortunately been successful in doing so. Now, from here onwards, where are we heading is really, I think, unclear to everybody.
Now, guys, remember I told you, Ukraine, the U.S. we have agreed on monthly anti-ballistic supplies. So we're going to help them out.
Церемонію підписання завершено. Дякую.
First of all, who has anti-ballistic missiles and systems?
У кого є антибалістичні ракети і система у виробника?
The manufacturer is the United States of America.
Це Сполучені Штати Америки передусім. Чи можуть вони
Can they help? We're working on it.
Допомогти? Ми працюємо кожного місяця.
With their supply. Will they supply us with missiles every month? Yes. So President Trump has agreed monthly to supply Ukraine with missiles. Remember my last live stream, I told you they were getting our expired missiles.
Чи будуть вони виділяти нам ракети? Так, у нас є домовленості.
We have agreement in place. Are these missiles enough? No.
Чи достатньо цих ракет? Ні.
So that's the deal. We've agreed to give them missiles, but it's still not enough. So that's another ally that we cannot help right now. Now we're going to get into your boy, Benjamin Netanyahu. Now listen, guys. Hamas said they are still ready to go ahead with the Gaza plan. Remember, Trump announced it, Hamas announced it, and we were waiting on Benjamin Netanyahu. We didn't hear from him. Israel was quiet. They were quiet. There was a reason. Now, he addresses Iran and Lebanon and Gaza. He rejects Hamas' disarmament plan. He said, you've surely noticed, and this was total disrespect. An interesting fact, Iran is attacking all the countries in the region and even beyond it, but there's one country that isn't attacking, the state of Israel. Okay. So far, no attacks. It possibly might attack. But wow, weeks have gone by and it hasn't attacked us. He's talking about Iran. I told you guys, it will come to that in the end. Because Iran knows, and I'm where it says it, I'm saying Iran. What a devastating blow will deal if they do. So what he's saying is if Iran attacks us, they're going to get a devastating blow. And he says, I say this because recently, over the past 2 weeks, 2 days, we've been inundated with, sorry, I can't see this, guy. A wave of rumors about Israel's weakness and Israel's withdrawal on all fronts. This is why his pride. Not only that, he's up for election. The most amazing thing is that the attacks and criticisms against us are coming from people who preached that we should withdraw. Now he's talking about the U.S. We should withdraw from Gaza. He's talking about President Trump right now. Not enter Lebanon at all and not strike. And not strike Iran. So, like I briefly go over each front with you. So he's getting ready to go over each front. First of all, Iran. I have great respect for the president. He's a great friend of ours. I deeply value our historic partnership with the United States against Iran. Attempts to acquire nuclear weapons. Here he go. And I want to emphasize, once again, with or without an agreement As long as I'm prime minister, Iran will not have a nuclear weapon. Because the existence of our beloved country, the country that belongs to all of us, the existence of Israel is not up for negotiation. Now regarding Lebanon, he said Lebanon too. We're hearing all types of rumors. I want to clarify. Israel has carried out forceful attacks, and I mean, those attacks were ruthless. Operations in Lebanon. Eliminating terrorists, including one on the latter ridge. I cannot go into this. We are in the midst of a very important operation. We are working with wisdom, determination, prudence alongside the Israel defense. So he's basically saying he's going to do what he want to do in Lebanon too. He said forces to eliminate threats. He said this is important as for Gaza. First of all, I want to clarify. The main point is, as long as I am the prime minister, there will be no Palestinian state, not in Gaza, not in the West Bank, not in Fastastan, and not in Hamastan. And regarding specific issues, we're almost done, guys, that have been in the news recently. I want to be precise here. He ain't ready to say it. Israel rejects the 15 points. He could have said this days ago. He didn't have to do Trump like this. Documents I've heard. People say you didn't say this, we didn't say it. Here I am saying it again. Israel rejects the 15-point document. The IDF will not carry out any withdrawal until Hamas and its weapons are dismantled. He don't want to move in phases. That plan was in phases. And when the dismantling in Hamas and its weapons, I mean heavy weapons, medium weapons, and light weapons, all weapons. And we're talking about genuine disarmament, not fictitious. We're currently discussing the issues. The Americans, they have ideas. And he's basically saying some of them are acceptable, but some of them are not. And they're going to stand their grounds on these matters. He said we're proving that today as well, furthermore. The IDF will continue to basically fight threats against them. I'm gonna let this play out. And he's basically saying that they're standing firm on this. He said we do it on the ground. We have proven this time and time again.
כשנכנסנו לרפיח ולציר פילדלפי, כשנכנסנו לבנון וחיסלנו שם את נסראללה ואת מאגר הרקטות, כשתקפנו את איראן פעמיים, בניגוד לכל אלה שמטיפים לנו, אנחנו עושים את מה שצריך להבטיח את ביטחון ישראל.
He basically said we do what is necessary for the security of Israel.
ואנחנו יכולים ויודעים לעמוד על שלנו.
And that Israel is basically capable to stand their ground. Even he said even against our closest friend. That's crazy.
גם מול הידידים הטובים ביותר שלנו, כשצריך. ישראל שוללת את...
So again, Israel rejects the 15-point plan.
מסמך 15 הנקודות. שמעתי שאומרים לא אמר.
I heard that there were those who said you didn't say it. I'm saying it again. Israel rejects the 15-point plan. The IDF will not carry out any withdrawals until the dismantling of Hamas and its weapons. And again, he said all weapons.
זה אומר הנשק הכבד, הנשק הפחות כבד, והנשק הקל, כל הנשק, ואנחנו מדברים על פירוק אמיתי, לא פירוק פיקטיבי. עכשיו אנחנו מדברים עם האמריקנים על הנושא הזה. יש להם רעיונות, חלק מהם מקובלים עלינו, וחלק לא מקובלים עלינו. כל עוד אני ראש...
So he basically said he didn't agree with all of the terms on that.
הממשלה לא תקום מדינה פלסטינית, לא בעזה ולא ביו"ש. לא פתחסטן ולא חמאסטן.
The UN interim force in Lebanon has observed...
Now, keep this, guys. The UN actually breaks down how many strikes the IDF has done within not even a week. Not even a week.
The sharpest escalation in military activity since the announcement of the trilateral framework in late June. Yesterday, peacekeepers recorded 113 projectiles fired by the Israel Defense Forces, the highest daily figure observed since the 21st of June. UNIFIL did not detect any projectile launches by Hezbollah during the same period. This escalation has continued today. Between midnight and 1600 hours local time, UNIFIL recorded 120 projectiles fired by the IDF, already exceeding yesterday's full-day figure and marking the highest number observed in a single day since the 21st of June. UNIFIL...
So everything was good since the 21st of June. They have been, again, trading strikes back and forth with Hamas and Hezbollah.
Also recorded significant air activity. Yesterday, peacekeepers recorded 49 airspace violations, with a cumulative overflight time exceeding 131 hours, the highest level since the 23rd of June.
Now let's bring you some breaking news. Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu said he is rejecting U.S. President Donald Trump's Board of Peace 15-point plan for Gaza and will not withdraw until Hamas fully disarms. Late last month, Trump...
Again, Hamas said they are still willing to go on with this plan. I'm not quite sure if he doesn't trust... I mean, of course he doesn't trust them, but wow.
Announced that plan, but it was criticized by several people within Israel. Now, the Gaza Board of Peace was actually established in January, but it was criticized almost immediately as being a replacement almost for the UN security.
I believe that's what it is. You said Netanyahu cannot afford to lose this election or he's facing prison. Exactly. He has 2 warrants out for international crimes. If it stops or if he's not reelected, he'll have to confront those charges.
Security Council. It's been in intense negotiations now with Hamas. One of the things...
I mean, they were super excited. They said this deal was monumental. I mean, He claims that he put it out there that he didn't agree with it, but he was pretty much silent until today.
That it has said publicly is that Hamas needs to disarm. That's what they've been talking about. Hamas has said they are willing to disarm under the right conditions. So those conditions are being negotiated right now. The Gaza Board of Peace is headed by a very seasoned.
And that was the problem. It went in steps. It wasn't just fully, okay, disarm. It was like in steps.
Diplomat. Nikolai Madlinov in charge of those negotiations. He has been in Egypt, he's been in Washington, D.C., and several other places. But the Gaza Board of Peace has had some success. They've already issued construction plans for Gaza City itself, but nothing's really moved on this. The negotiations have been tough between Israel and Hamas themselves. So this is a setback of sorts for the Gaza Board of Peace.
Sorry, guys, I brought this clip again by accident. Let me speed it up. Okay, now we're going to get into Greenland. Remember when Scott Bessent said that the straits will become irrelevant? This is just my own opinion. Y'all let me know what y'all think. Take a look at
У нас є домовленості. Чи достатньо цих ракет? Ні.
Okay, listen to this.
Serious shit is going down in Greenland as a Trump-linked oil company, an American oil company, has landed drilling equipment on the shores of Greenland without the permission of the government there and without the permission of Denmark. And they are now sounding the alarm. Greenland has issued a strong warning as this Trump-linked oil.
I think this was President Trump's backup plan. What are you doing with the drilling equipment in Greenland? And you got popped and you got caught. This was his backup plan. All right, let's go. That's why Scott Bessent said the straits will become irrelevant. Basically saying they can have control of the straits.
Firm prepares to drill without their permission. It was just a couple days ago Trump reissued this threat to Greenland, and now this is happening. And this is with this company, Greenland Energy. It's a Texas company that was set up just last year, and they have claimed that 1 trillion of crude oil may lie beneath the Jameson Land region.
Can you guys believe this? David, can you believe this?
In Greenland, and they announced plans to spend $60 million drilling 2 wells to find out, but they haven't gotten permission to do that yet. Greenland Energy Chair Larry Sweats, who enjoys access to the president, said this has nothing to do with American annexation. This is a pretty wild story. Even Dr. Phil has been tapped to film a documentary about this oil drilling project in Greenland. Guys, it just never ends. It gets.
I believe this. You said this was his way out of the war. I think so too. Do you, man? I swear. I'm like, I hope it's not me, and I hope I don't sound crazy. But this was his way out. This is. I gotta take it back. Like, what are you doing in Greenland without their permission, trying to drill oil with equipment? Hold on, guys.
More and more bizarre each day. What the hell?
Like, what is he doing? One more time, guys. What is he
У нас
doing
є
in Greenland?
домовленості. Чи достатньо цих ракет? Ні.
Serious shit is going down in Greenland as a Trump-linked oil company, an American oil company, has landed drilling equipment on the shores of Greenland without the permission of the government there and without the permission of Denmark. And they are now sounding the alarm. Greenland has issued a strong warning as this Trump-linked oil firm prepares to drill without their permission. It was just a couple days ago Trump reissued this threat to Greenland, and now this is happening. And this is with this company, Greenland Energy. It's a Texas company that was set up just last year, and they have claimed that 1 trillion of crude oil may lie beneath the Jameson Land region in Greenland. And they announced plans to spend $60 million drilling 2 wells to find out, but they haven't gotten permission to do that yet. Greenland Energy.
Yeah, I definitely believe that this was his way out.
Chair Larry Sweats, who enjoys access to the president, said this has nothing to do with American annexation. This is a pretty wild story. Even Dr. Phil has been tapped to film a documentary about this oil drilling project.
You said that, well, America will lose Europe as an ally. Yeah, I do believe that we will lose some of them. A lot of allies, to be honest.
In Greenland. Guys, it just never ends. It gets more and more bizarre each day. What the hell is going on here? Was this just them getting eager and moving equipment on before they actually had permission? It was only spotted by the few sparsely populated people that live there, seeing oil rigs.
They caught him. It was his equipment. His name was on it.
And equipment being brought on shore. So had they not seen it, I don't know if anyone would have known about this. Let me know what you think about this in the comments. Like, share, spread the word, follow along for more, and I'll see you back here for the 411.
All right, remember, guys, I told you pretty soon that people were going to go around the U.S. and start making their own deals. Iraq discusses oil export deal with Iran. Okay? So they're getting ready to make a deal with Iran. That people are worried about their countries, their economy. They got to get the ball rolling.
لدينا حوار مع الأخوة في الجمهورية الإسلامية بالسماح ولكن هذا الموضوع بعد لم يحسم بشكل نهائي.
Good morning. As the Middle East.
All right, guys, we are in real time, current today. We got about another 20 minutes, and that's about it for the night. But let's go. This was the update. They were on it. They announced the demands. Throughout the day, I kept looking to see if there were, anything other but what was going on. And Iran is standing 10 toes down.
Waits to see if a deal can be reached to reopen the Strait of Hormuz. Iranian officials are making new demands. Iran's Supreme National Security Council over the weekend issued a fresh statement calling on the United States to permanently end the war and compensate Iran for damages before the strait would reopen. This comes as Iran's foreign minister says even if a deal is reached, it doesn't necessarily mean the strait will stay open.
We have been discussing the temporary route and we are very close to reaching a conclusion. Work is being carried out based on the maps of this route. Prepared by the armed forces, negotiations have taken place between the navies of the two countries and the details are being finalized. I believe we will be able to conclude these negotiations very soon.
Conversations about the strait come as the U.S. naval blockade of Iranian ports remains in effect, costing the regime hundreds of millions of dollars each day. And according to U.S. Central Command, as of August 8th, CENTCOM redirected 53 commercial vessels, disabled 2 and boarded 2. The U.S. military has also...
Now, guys, this is coming from Fox News, okay? So they are pro-Trump. Remember, prior to the straits, being totally controlled by Iran, 100+ ships used to go through the straits.
Also permitted more than 30 ships to pass through the blockade for humanitarian aid. Vice President J.D. Vance told Fox News that U.S. pressure on Iran will continue.
They're hurting in a big way. They want this thing to be over. The question is...
So again, they're reporting like we got so much pressure on Iran.
Whether they're able, their system is able to give the things that are necessary for us to be happy, for us to feel like we've gotten what we need out of this particular engagement. That is still to be determined, but I do think that we've made some progress over the last few days.
With talks ongoing, Iranian proxies remain active. The Yemen-based Houthis launched a new attack on Saudi oil refineries early this morning. The Houthis have launched several attacks in the region over the past week. And remember, this comes after President Trump warned this Yemen-based proxy group against getting directly involved in this conflict. In the past, we have seen both U.S.
This is hilarious. At the end of the day, there's really nothing that we can do right now.
And Israeli strikes against the Houthis. Guys?
All right, Trey Hayes, live for us in Tel Aviv. Trey, thanks.
Great reporting as always. Thank you. All right, turning now to your headlines. The triple.
Now, again, Iran says no U.S. talks, Oman route talks, in their final stage. So they're not, again, The only type of talks they're having is passing notes through the mediators. They are not talking directly. I repeat.
A negotiation has its own definition. In any case, negotiations take place on a specific subject to reach a result. Currently, we have no negotiations with the United States. Yes, there is an exchange of messages through intermediaries, but this is not called negotiation. It is called an exchange of messages. The intermediaries are still trying to recreate the grounds for negotiation. From our perspective, until the violations of the Memorandum of Understanding end and the U.S. compensates for what it has violated in the memorandum, there is no possibility of restarting negotiations.
So y'all heard that from Iran. You know I like to hear all sides. They clearly said it.
Our negotiations with Oman are regarding the determination of a new maritime route in the Strait of Hormuz. These negotiations have progressed well. I can say we are in the final stages, and the old existing routes will be replaced with new ones.
So again, they will come in directly through Tehran side, Iran side, and they will leave out through Oman. They can charge up to 7%, anywhere from 5 to 7%.
Specialists are currently working on the maps. Of course, this does not mean the opening of the Strait of Hormuz. This agreement may take place, but the opening of the Strait of Hormuz is contingent upon the fulfillment of a set of other conditions, which have, in any case, been conveyed through intermediaries.
Which means they're going to keep the straits on lock until the U.S. determines whether they want to grant them whatever they're asking for, the $300 billion, the remove of the blockade. So, yeah, they're saying we have a deal with Oman, but it may not be implemented, and it won't be until those demands, until we go back and get what was told to us in the MOU plus some, because the 5 to 7% was not in the MOU. It was free of tolls for the first 60 days.
This is a completely technical and legal agreement to determine the maritime routes. These routes were determined in 1968, and the recent war showed that it is necessary for a transformation to occur and for changes to be made to the maritime routes. Our specialists are carrying this out with Oman. Once these routes are specified, they will be used when the Strait of Hormuz is opened.
Diamond Gang, I cannot believe this. I really can't.
But Abbas Araghchi told us the Iranian armed forces do not fear the prospect of a U.S. ground invasion.
So they're basically welcoming it. Like, if this is what you guys want to do, we can do this.
I've answered this before.
Again, this live stream was titled, "Did this war backfire?"
And I said, we are waiting for them. I don't think they dare to do such a thing. There will be a lot of strength waiting for them. But we are not the ones who started this war. We defended ourselves, and we did so with strength. The casualties they've faced in their assets, to their personnel, to their radars in the region, to their aircraft. You saw what happened to their AWACS aircraft, or to their refueling tankers. We know very well how to defend ourselves. In a ground war, we can do it even better. We are completely ready to confront.
Again, their military consists of 900,000. Okay, and that's including reservists. Last week, I showed you guys a video where they were arming civilians. So we have one or two choices: cut our losses and leave, or escalate. And they said Trump is tired.
Any sort of ground attack. We hope they do not make such a mistake.
Araghchi added that there is zero trust for there to even be talks.
Nothing like this exists right now. Countries usually send messages to one another either directly or indirectly. This is not called negotiation, but this does exist right now. We have received messages from the U.S. Some are direct, some are through some of our regional friends. and wherever it is necessary, we reply to these messages. However, no negotiation has taken place, and the reports about that are not accurate. Discussions through messages are...
And Trump made a statement today to, I want to say Axios, but he basically said that they are low-keying and they are watching Iran's economy. The reason why he's saying low-keying is because they're not telling him nothing. They're not telling him anything.
Are ongoing, and Mr. Woodcock has sent messages directly. Like I've said, this does not mean negotiation. These exchanges happen during both peace and war. We have not given any response to that 15-point proposal from the U.S. And from our side, there has been no proposal either. The reality is that we have never had a good experience from negotiations with the U.S. One time years ago, we negotiated, and we even got a deal, and then the U.S. withdrew without any explanation. And twice last year, and now this year, we negotiated.
Again, remember, they actually put the enriched uranium on the table and said that they would be willing to dilute it. I don't understand why we just didn't, take that deal right then and there.
With the U.S., and the result was an attack by them. And so we do not have any faith that negotiations with the U.S. will yield any results. The trust level is at zero. And it's normal that when they propose negotiations, the first thing that is important for us to assess is how honest they are in the process. We don't see honesty. This trust does not exist.
And he basically is saying we're not negotiating with the U.S. We're getting ready to go to the last video. So again, they want the MOU, the violations, to stop. And if the U.S. does not make up for what it has violated in the MOU, the straits will remain closed.
So Iran just put their list of demands for opening the Strait of Hormuz. And bottom line up front, this would amount to a U.S. surrender. So it's everything Iran wants.
You think we're going to take the off-ramp, or do you think we're going to escalate? You said sneaky. Greenland is not a state. All right, let's take a listen. We're going to break the list down. Let's go.
Nothing we want, which means it's pretty unlikely that President Trump or any U.S. official is going to sign this anytime soon. Now, the demands put out by Iran, 6 points. They said the Strait of Hormuz will not open until America corrects its behavior. Number one, never threaten Iran with any language or insult the sanctities of this nation. 2, end the war and aggression against Iran and its allies in Lebanon, Palestine, Yemen, and Iraq forever. 3, lift the naval blockade and withdraw naval and air forces from around Iran. So they are still calling for a complete U.S. military withdrawal from the Middle East. 4, pay the damages of 2 wars of aggression. 5, lift the cruel and illegal sanctions against the Iranian people. 6, unconditionally release the frozen and stolen assets of the Iranian people.
So guys, this is the list. This is what they're asking for in order to open the straits.
People. Some of those kind of to be expected, the blockade, the frozen assets, sanctions, things like that. Unusual here, to say the least, would be the calling for a full withdrawal of the United States from the entire region and for the United.
Here's the deal, okay? They have managed to decimate multiple U.S. bases. There's no way that we can go back to some of them, okay? That's a fact. I told you guys they were trying to push us out.
States to pay reparations for the damage we caused during the war. Those two especially would come across as the U.S. surrendering to Iran. Of course, not mentioned in this is anything about the nuclear program, missile program, proxies, anything.
That's off the table, okay? In the MOU, it said that it would be further down the line. Well, Iran has not even put that is a consideration right now. You guys know what they're trying to do, and they said this. They said it was off the table about a month ago.
Like that at all. So unlikely that this is approved in the United States. Nobody's going to sign off on this as it sits. The big question then is this an actual, like, realistic list from the Iranian perspective, or is this design?
Remember, guys, I started you guys where it ended, and I'm going to take you back to where where we started from.
And to be so extreme that it's either walked back and they get something that's 70% of this and call it a success, or conversely, do they not plan on negotiating at all? So they may as well just throw out ridiculous demands like the United States paying war reparations to Iran, knowing that it'll get shot down because...
You know what? I'm hoping that this I said they have one or two choices. Maybe they do have an opportunity to negotiate.
They kind of are on board with the status quo. That's still up for debate.
As far as we can tell, it's somewhat convoluted because of this indirect process. The Iranians refuse to talk with the U.S. directly. So the Iranians talk to Omanis and Pakistanis. The Omanis and Pakistanis talk to the U.S. The U.S. receives positive signals from intermediaries, from what the diplomats are saying.
Again, you just heard Iran said this is what the process is.
And then we have the announcements from Tehran, which seem to go at variance with what we thought. So I think talking past each other is probably a good way to describe that process. The interpretation that's circulating in Washington is that it reflects the hardline IRGC elements asserting their position over those of the foreign ministry. And that explains why for the past several weeks,
the IRGC is running the show. We talked about this last week. The Supreme Leader has not been seen. We don't know if he's even still with us. So the IRGC is pretty much running the show.
Weeks, the White House thinks that there's about to be an agreement. The diplomats have agreed on the core essentials. The U.S. finds these generally acceptable. And then we have these lists of new hardline demands as soon as the diplomats hear from Tehran. This is challenging for the U.S. because it can't accept some of the demands, such as the payment of reparations. There may be...
And because we cannot accept some of these demands, I think at this point, maybe, and the reason why I'm saying maybe is because of Trump, we could potentially sit down and truly have negotiations. You know what I'm saying? So we'll see.
More flexibility on sanctions and a few other issues. But just listing all these demands as non-negotiable isn't going to get us anywhere.
Donald Trump has run out of options. He's now willing to just...
Let me stop this. He said it's not going to get us anywhere. That the bombing campaign didn't get us anywhere. Nowhere. But out of munitions, we have not completed not one objective. And we've been in this for 6 months.
To end the war in Iran without a deal over nuclear. No nuclear deal. That's apparently what he's floating to the Wall Street Journal. A stunning development because just a few months ago, he says there will be no end to the war unless Iran unconditionally surrenders. Then he says there has to be a deal that ends Iran's nuclear program, a deal that is different than the Iran nuclear deal that he ended.
So again, guys, I'm taking you guys where we started at, okay? And this was at the end of the day. So he is now putting out there that he's willing to walk away with no nuclear deal.
The one that President Obama executed. And now he's floating to Wall Street, to aides, according to the Wall Street Journal, that he may be willing to just put an end to the war without a nuclear deal at all. Nothing. Just a extended kind of permanent pseudo ceasefire. All he wants is for the Strait of Hormuz to reopen. But if you remember, at the start of the war, February 28th, the Strait of Hormuz was open. He didn't expect Iran to close the Strait of Hormuz. And now Iran has closed the Strait of Hormuz, and Trump is in a way SOL, which is pretty nuts. Spread the word, follow along for all the news you need to know about.
He will have to give up some of their demands.
Finally, just a big picture question. We've heard the president repeatedly threaten to have big attacks on Iran and then back off, claiming there was progress on negotiations. By my count, he's done this 7 times. What does that do to America's credibility?
Our credibility is done. Again, I've said this a multitude of times. When it's all said and done, we will have a nasty stain on us as a country. We took a loss, and we are much weaker. Okay, and vulnerable right now, and less safe.
Around the world. How do our adversaries start to view those threats when they're threat, back off, and the cycle continues?
Well, clearly the Iranians have figured this out. They are not reacting to these threats, and they are taking very strategic positions with regard to this. And so you saw them over the last week put forward again this Omani plan.
I told you guys, Iran is playing chess, not checkers. I'm telling you, they showed tremendous constraint in the beginning of this war.
That they're going to unveil at some point, but these demands they've now raised last night show that they are emboldened, that they feel confident about their position in the world. And at the same time, they are flexing their muscles by using their proxies. So we know that the Houthis just this morning attacked the Saudi refinery on the Red Sea. Yesterday, Iran attacked.
And their proxies are causing havoc, so much so that Pakistan, Saudi Arabia, and Turkey had to sign a pact.
The UAE ship, but they being Tehran, have tried to expand this conflict. There was a long shot taken at an Egyptian port on the Mediterranean Sea to show the range of their weapons, and they've gone so far as to threaten U.S. ally, NATO ally Bulgaria about supporting U.S. operations from there. So they're expanding the conflict in many ways.
I mean, the president told the world just a few days ago that the Strait of Hormuz was about to be completely open within 24 hours. And the Iranians are now saying it will never be open unless America meets a long list of demands.
Right. Yes, they put forward this agreement, Jonathan. Apparently they had been talking.
I say now, I said that the MOU was dead. It's over. It was just a piece of paper. It was too, it just didn't have enough in it. Okay. It just left both sides to interpret whatever they wanted to interpret. Okay. It was too vague. That's the word I'm looking for. Vague. President Trump may have to walk it back and try to sit down with them. That's what I feel.
For a week or so with Oman about opening up a northern route into the Gulf and a southern route out of the Gulf along Oman that they both would control or administer. Unclear what that means, but now we know that while that agreement sits on a precipice, they've put forward demands of the United States, which frankly are ridiculous and should be rejected out of hand. Demands such as the withdrawal of all U.S. forces from the region, the reimbursement for the costs of the war. The fact that we would.
Here's the deal. Listen, okay, if we say no to every demand, what is next? Again, we are looking for an off ramp. What is next? We will have to give them some of their demands. It's just that simple.
We would end our blockade. We would end sanctions. So it's gone beyond the pale. But what it tells you is two things, Jonathan. First of all, they haven't apparently left any room for negotiation, and we know that's important. President Trump wants to pursue that, and rightly so. But secondly, and more importantly,
here's the deal, okay? We could have been negotiating instead of doing a 13-day bombing campaign. We chose to do that.
Shows that they believe that they have the upper hand. They believe they're winning, and they're emboldened. And that's what we're up against right now after, 5.5 months of conflict.
Trump is running out of options with Iran.
Here we go. We back where we started, Diamond Gang. Let's go.
And he knows it, even privately telling his senior aides that he is now willing to walk away from Iran with a deal that does not include anything about denuclearization. The one thing he's been railing and saying that they have to end, he is now willing to walk away without. This comes as Iran put new demands on him today to get the Strait of Hormuz reopened, and that includes billions of dollars from the United States in payments, the United States pulling military forces from the region, and an end to the U.S.
Let's be honest, per the MOU, we were giving them billions of dollars anyway. They're stressing it like this is something new. It's not.
naval blockade, among other things. But Trump is backed into a terrible corner now. This is one of the worst defeats, maybe the worst defeats against the United States by another country in history. One thing Tehran made abundantly clear today to Trump is that they are more than prepared for a long, grinding conflict should Trump continue with it. And right now, all signs point that the United States is not willing or able to continue this conflict, running out of munitions, running out of funds, and oil dwindling. We know that the supplies and inventories are at their lowest level.
I want to say this, Diamond Gang, get ready and brace yourself. Some people may be totally upset, but it looks like we will be giving up some things, putting Iran in a stronger position than what they were pre-war. It looks like they will have and will remain to have some type of control over the straits.
In history, Tehran knows this. They know it. They know the situation the United States and the rest of the world are in, and they are now exploiting it and putting immense pressure on Trump, narrowing his options to walk away in this conflict. And he's more than likely going to get out sooner than later without everything he's been talking about. Be prepared for Trump to declare victory against Iran imminently and walk away without all the key priorities. Now, he will leave with the Strait of Hormuz being reopened more than likely. That is the key to this whole thing. That is the hard line he has, and that is what Iran is willing to do. And oil prices are going to continue to rise until that happens, and Trump is heading into midterms with very limited time to get things corrected as gasoline prices remain high, much higher than they were before this conflict started. Now, again, this conflict, before it started, no one controlled the Strait of Hormuz. Iran wasn't in control of it. Oil was...
So what did we gain? We gained nothing. In 6 months, soldiers were unalived. Hundreds were injured.
Moving freely. Now, they essentially have the chokehold over it. And Trump now has no cards. Iran is holding them all. Let me know what you think about this in the comments. Like, share, spread the word, follow along for more, and I'll see you back here for the 411.
Breaking news.
This is where we are, Diamond Gang, as we speak in real time.
Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has rejected President Trump's 15-point peace plan for Gaza.
So if it comes to Israel and Iran finally meeting face to face, it will be without the United States.
At the same time, Palestinian sources report a single Israeli strike on tents for displaced families in Khan Yunis killed more than 500 people. And Trump is privately telling aides he's ready to walk away from the Iran fight without any nuclear deal if Iran reopens the Strait of Hormuz. Here's what happened. Trump's Board of Peace put out the 15-point plan for phase process. Hamas starts giving up weapons while Israel starts pulling out of Gaza. Hamas accepted it just last week. Today, Netanyahu stood in front of his cabinet and said no. Israel rejects the document. The army will not leave until Hamas is fully disarmed. Every weapon. No partial...
And unfortunately, he has managed to sabotage every chance that we had to negotiate. Benjamin Netanyahu has sabotaged those, quite a few of them. He has always been the problem and will continue to be the problem. We need to cut our losses and just come home.
Steps. While that rejection came out, reports and leaked footage showed a strike hitting tents full of displaced people in southern Gaza. Palestinian sources put the death toll above 500 from that one attack. And on the Iran side, Iran raises demands from reopening the strait. Big money, frozen assets released, U.S. troops out. Trump's answer, according to reports, is that he is low-keying it. He's willing to end the fighting.
I told you guys, low-keying it, whatever that means.
Without a nuclear deal, as long as the waterway opens and gas prices stay calm. No more big military talk, just de-escalate. But let's talk about Netanyahu, how he has no respect for Donald Trump. First Lebanon, now Gaza, and the 15-point plan. He throws Trump's plan in the trash in public. That shows.
This is what I'm saying. Do you guys see this? You said Netanyahu will eventually blame America for his downfall. Yeah, I agree. Because it's coming.
Who's really calling the shots? They talk about a ceasefire, then look at the bombing today. 500 Palestinians dead in one strike on tents.
I think that was a smack in the face to President Trump. It really was. This was messed up.
Is that okay? 500 dead Palestinians and the world is silent? This is sickening. For 500 dead Israelis, we wouldn't hear the end of it. But 500 Palestinians, and I'll bet most of my viewers had no idea it even happened today. Absolutely wow. And Trump on Iran? I've been saying it. Trump is finished with the Iran war. No more threats to end civilizations. Iran is making demands and getting its way. Iran won this war, point blank. And I have a question for my viewers.
Diamond Gang, this might be the end of the chapter for us because, yeah, we're going to have to move on to other topics.
Why do we even go into this war with Iran? Was there a real reason? Or just talk about nuclear weapons that we are now walking away from? Netanyahu is already saying if America backs off, he will make sure Iran gets nothing. If that's the case, why force America's hand in the first place? Israel's not even in the fight anymore. We are the pawn doing their dirty work. Now
that part, when we went on the 13-day bombing campaign, they said that they were satisfied with what we were doing, that they will not enter or step in. Where have they been? This is sad. We're almost done, guys.
America wants out. They want to talk tough again. And to me, Netanyahu is just trying to save his career, and he's all talk and he's bluffing.
Again, he's basically saying negotiations will not happen.
هستی به حال مذاکره صورت میگیره تا برای رسیدن به نتیجه. ما الان در حال حاضر هیچ مذاکره با آمریکا نداریم. بله تبادل پیام.
And he's basically saying there was an exchange of messages and that is basically it.
تا هست این اسمش مذاکره نیست، اسمش تبادل پیام هست. با ستاها همچنان دارن تلاش میکنن که زمینه‌های مذاکره رو مجدد ایجاد بکنن. از نظر ما تا موارد نقض یادداشت تفاهم به پایان نرسه و آمریکا به هر حال اون چه که نقض کرده در یادداشت تفاهم رو جبران نکنه، امکان شروع مجدد مذاکرات وجود نداره.
All right, guys. Woo. Hold on. So I don't know what to say about this. This was a lot. After 6 months, where we can be potentially walking away with no nuclear deal put in place. So it's terrible. However, guys, if you are on Rumble and you're not following The Great Spills the Tea, what are you waiting on? I cover celebrity gossip as well as war updates and other political topics. I also have The Great Reactions, where I react to viral moments. And then I also have a third channel. It is called The Great Political Rants. And it's basically just debates, okay? So if you are on Rumble, hit that follow button. Again, if you would like to support the channel, it is $, The Great Spills the Tea. If not, you can support with a super chat, super sticker. On Rumble, it's considered rants. If not, hit that like. When you hit the like button, that is still supporting the creator. YouTube, The Great Spills the Tea. If you're not subscribed, hit that subscribe button. Turn your notifications on. Again, celebrity gossip as well as political topics, okay? All right, Diamond Gang, it is almost 1 a.m. on the East Coast. I'm going to go ahead and get up out of here. I want to say shouts out to David, Mitch, Robin, Kennedy that came in earlier. Thank you guys for always showing up and showing out for your girl. I love the comments in my comment section. I encourage everybody to chat, whether your opinion is opposing or not. You are entitled to your opinion. I encourage it, okay? So the next time you stop through, make sure you drop down in that comment section, in the chat section, okay? Because again, we can learn from each other. You may be able to persuade the way I look at things and vice versa, okay? Replay gang, whoever replays this live, make sure to hit that like. All right, Diamond Gang, good night. Keep your notifications on too, because I may be going live tomorrow. Just all depends, you know. If this escalates, sure enough, I'll be going live.
It's 100 degrees. Sip on me. I'll pour it hot, so hot. I'll pour it sweet, so sweet. Spilling his tea, spilling and sipping his tea, spilling and sipping his tea. Thanks for watching me, tuning in, subscribing, hitting that like, smash that like. I don't bite, no. It's your 100 degree, feeling great, spilling tea. Have a seat and join me. Sip some tea, unwind with me. Let's grab a snack and talk some smack. I'm your girl, I got your back. I got the news, I got the views. I bet you can't wait, I know you can't wait to sip this tea. Sip this tea. Spilling this tea. Spilling and sipping this tea. Spilling and sipping this tea. Spilling this tea. Spilling and sipping 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 this tea. Thanks for watching me, tuning in, subscribing, hitting that like, smash that like. I don't bite, no. It's your 100 degrees, shining bright, set the stage. Hollywood dreams, red carpet scenes, glitter and glow, the secrets I know. Drama with flair, I serve it rare. I got the scoop, I got the proof. I know you can't wait, so come and escape and sip this tea. Sip with me, spilling this tea, spilling and sipping this tea, spilling and sipping this tea, spilling this tea, spilling this tea, spilling this tea, spilling this tea.